Hi, and welcome to Experience Points by University XP. On Experience Points, we explore different ways we can learn from games. I'm your host, Dave Ang from Games-Based Learning by University XP. Find out more by going to universityxp.com. Today, we're diving into something that affects every gamer at some point: hostile players. You probably already know the type. Those people who turn a fun session into a cesspit of negativity. I'm talking about cynics, trolls, griefers, and the downright toxic folks who seem to thrive on ruining the vibe. But here's the twist. These players aren't just villains, they're symptoms. Now let's talk about hostility in games. What does it look like? Where does it come from? And how can designers and communities turn the tide against these hostile players? But first things first, what exactly is hostility? We're not just talking about someone in a bad mood or losing their cool. We're talking about a pattern of deep-rooted behaviors that manifest themselves in four main ways: cynicism, antagonism, griefing, and good old-fashioned toxicity. Cynicism is emotional detachment. It's the player who's checked out. They've stopped believing that anything they do in-game matters. Maybe they've hit a wall they can't get past, or maybe the system feels rigged to them. In life, we'd call this burnout. Antagonism turns that cynicism outward. It's one thing to feel detached, it's another to actively push other players down. Antagonistic players are combative, they're rude, and they thrive on conflict, not cooperation. Enter the griefer. This is the player who goes out of their way to ruin your day. Maybe they're not technically breaking the rules of the game, but they're actively breaking the spirit of play and the agreement that we all make when we play games as part of the magic circle. Griefers team kill, they block progress, and they troll chats. And finally, toxicity. This is when hostility becomes culture. It's no longer one player acting out. It's about hostility embodied by an entire community built around negativity. If you've ever left a game feeling worse than when you started, you've most likely felt this firsthand. So where does all this come from? Let's take a beat and break it down. There are 6 big contributors. First is emotion. We're human, we get mad, we get frustrated, but sometimes those feelings hijack the game experience. Players experience tilt, then they lash out. And if that anger isn't addressed, it snowballs. Then there's disconnection. Ever feel like nothing you do in a game matters? That's disconnection. When players don't see a link between their actions and outcomes, it leads to apathy or worse, antagonism. It's the same feeling students get when a class feels pointless or if employees feel ignored at work. Next is social structure. Communities shape players, and players shape their communities. If a game community values trash talk over teamwork, then hostility becomes the norm. It's peer pressure, just in game format. Then there's the game structure. Some games are designed in a way that encourages conflict. We can see this in zero-sum games where progress for one player means that someone else has to lose, or when systems are overly complex or opaque. Players can start seeing each other only as enemies and not as potential collaborators or teammates. So how about leadership? And yes, this includes moderation. Communities with weak or toxic leadership often spiral. Without clear values or boundaries, hostile behavior spreads unchecked. Finally, there's iteration. The more hostility is allowed to fester, the more it becomes normalized. New players copy what they see, and then the cycle continues. That is, unless someone steps in to break it. Now let's paint a small picture. Hostility isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's team sabotage. Other times it's chat spam. But no matter the form, the result is the same: the disrupted flow. Players lose immersion. They lose trust in the system and in each other. Over time, that damage adds up. Think of it like rust in a machine. Left unchecked, it can stop the entire game from functioning. And here's what's really surprising. Hostility in games doesn't just stay in games. It shows up in classrooms, in offices, and even in friendships. It's all connected. But here's the good news. Hostility isn't permanent. However, fixing it takes work. It starts with understanding, not punishment. First, consider asking, what caused this behavior? What's feeding it? After you get those answers, then comes remediation. That might mean calling out bad behavior when it happens, not to shame, but to start a conversation. This also means promoting empathy, honesty, and connection. The one major step: player agency. People act out when they feel powerless. You can combat this by giving players real choices. Let them see how their decisions shape the game. Also, make feedback clear. When people feel seen and have some kind of control, they act better. And don't forget positive design. Games are powerful storytelling machines. Lean into that. Build systems that nudge players toward collaboration, growth, and meaningful conflict, like compelling villains that channel frustration into purpose. Even a goofy antagonist can help focus a player's energy in a healthy way. So, what's the takeaway? It's that hostile players aren't the disease, they're the symptom. They point to deeper issues in design, in structure, and in community culture. But that also means we can do something about it. Whether you're a developer, a player, an educator, or just someone who wants a better gaming experience, remember this: it all starts with awareness. It continues with empathy and closes with action. Design better, play kinder, and keep the magic in the game. I hope you found this episode useful. If you'd like to learn more, then a great place to start is with my free course on gamification. You can sign up for it at universityxp.com/gamification. You can also get a full transcript of this episode, including links to references in the description or show notes. Thanks for joining me. Again, I'm your host, Dave Eng from Game-Based Learning by University XP. On Experience Points, we explore different ways we can learn from games. If you like this episode, please consider commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Subscribing is absolutely free and ensures that you'll get the next episode of Experience Points delivered directly to you. I'd also love it if you took some time to rate the show. I live to lift others with learning, so if you found this episode useful, consider sharing it with someone who could also benefit. Also, make sure to visit University XP online at universityxp.com. University XP is also on Twitter at university_XP and on Facebook and LinkedIn as University XP. Also, feel free to email me anytime. My email address is dave@universityxp.com. Game on.